what? I think you would have made a great MC. Welcome everyone. Thank you so very much for coming on down this afternoon. We greatly appreciate you turning up and showing your support here. So we're here today for the book launch of The Siege of Masada, which is Jodie's first ever novel. Hopefully first of many. So Jodie has quite a history here at the Redcliffe Library. As kids we used to come down here, we'd ride our bikes from our home in Scarborough down here to borrow some books out. By the time we get here, usually we'd be dripping in sweat. So we'd walk on inside and go up, you know, those little floor vents blowing the air up, just stand there cooling off. And then we'd save up our coins and come out to the vending machine out there to buy a chocolate bar. I'd borrow a book or two, Jodie would get about 8. We'd go home and read them in the space of about a week and come back again. So look, it's a great honour, and I appreciate Jodie giving me that honour to come and speak to you today. This has been her passion for a long time. She's been so very much into reading, writing, creative ideas. She loves her history, she loves her fantasy, science fiction, a broad range of genres. She has an incredible creative mind, and I'm so glad that she's being able to finally put pen to paper and share that with you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce the book itself. I'll read the blurb out and then hand over to Jodie. So The Siege of Masada. An ancient fortress, a desperate last stand. Trapped in a time she doesn't belong. Will Gwyn change the course of history just to survive? On holiday from university with her family in Israel, Gwyn stumbles across a strange device while exploring the ruins of Masada. She is unwittingly thrown back 2,000 years in time to the bloody siege between the Roman invaders and the fiercely nationalistic Jewish defenders. Blending in is her only option to stay alive. But can she escape before the siege comes to a head? Meanwhile, Michelle is the time-space agent from the year 2623 AD, trying to escape her enemies and recover her lost time machine, all while inadvertently stumbling on a dangerous political plot. The clock is ticking as Gwyn and Michelle's timelines hurtle towards each other in this historical adventure based on the real events of Roman conquest in ancient Judea. The actions of these two time travellers, born centuries apart, will impact not just each other's survival, but the fates of past and future worlds alike. It's my pleasure now to bring you to Jodie.
Thank you so much. I am absolutely overwhelmed with how many people have come today. I honestly believed it would just be my little renter crowd, which is my family and a few wonderful close friends who know who you are. And so I'm just, as I said, overwhelmed with how many people have come. It's really, really exciting. This is my first novel, and I'm just going to share a little bit about the inspiration behind it. And then at the end, if you'd like to get a copy, I would be delighted to sign it for you all. So thank you to everyone for coming along today and for giving such positive encouragement when I've talked about my book and my desire to become a published author. My husband, Daniel, has been terrific, particularly since this has been a huge monetary investment on our part, and he has been so supportive of me following this dream of mine. I've received fantastic encouragement from my mum, Janet, and my brother, Nick, but I need to give particular thanks to my sister, Carolyn, and my friends, Shannon and James, who did peer reviews for me. You guys were my first critics, and you were so very helpful. You gave me the confidence to carry on to the next stage and try to get my book published. So thank you, Carolyn, Shannon and James. Also needed to give a big thanks to Ocean Reeve of In-House Publishing. Ocean is one of the main reasons this dream of mine has turned into a reality. Thank you also to Donna Anthony, the branch librarian here at Redcliffe Library, and Tanya, thank you for hosting this event. I'm so grateful to the library for your support. Also thanks to Erin Smith from the Redcliffe Herald for covering the story. So many people have contributed to me being here today, and I really appreciate it. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the inspiration behind the novel. I've always loved to read, as Nick has obviously pointed out. I've been a bookworm ever since I was little. Over the years it's turned into a love of writing, and combined with the fact that I'm a massive history nerd, I've dreamed for some time of writing adventure stories around cool historical events. Basically, I wanted to write the kind of book that I'd like to read. Something interesting and fun, the kind of book that I used to escape into as a teenager and still do now sometimes. I never originally intended to study history at uni when I was picking my subjects for year 11 and 12. I expected to end up in the sciences, so I chose physics, chemistry, earth science and maths B, with history as my fun subject and compulsory English as a close second favourite. But by the beginning of year 12 I realised that A, I wanted a gap year after school to travel, and B, history was becoming a passion for me. I finished off my high schooling knowing that an arts degree at UQ was where I wanted to be. And arts degrees are fantastic. They cop a lot of flack. I myself have been extremely self-deprecating in the past about the degree that you do when you don't know what to do or can't get into anything else.
What does that mean, self-deprecating? What does that mean?
I've put myself down. I've said, oh, why would you do an arts degree, you know? Obviously can't do anything else. But I realise now that such snobbery was rubbish. And I can highly recommend that you Google Tim Minchin graduation speech, because he explains why arts degrees are fantastic far more powerfully than I can. Even still, I finished my degree with an almost double major in history and a major in Spanish, and people used to ask me what that got me, and I couldn't always answer. But I can answer a little bit now. It got me to broaden my mind. Studying history got me to think about how and why the world came to be like it is. It taught me to think critically about information that we are fed from our teachers, our media, our politicians, and our friends. It taught me to organise my thoughts, research my arguments, and explain my ideas. Now, many of those skills are somewhat rusty, as I spent the years following uni trying to find my career niche. First in the financial services industry, then in recycling, then in manufacturing. And I may well work in a variety of other industries in the future. But finally I'm getting to revisit three things I love: writing, history, and travel. I've done a fair bit of travel, with my family as a teenager, teaching English overseas in China and Romania when I was 18, backpacking through South America by myself when I was 21, and travelling to Central America, Africa, Europe, and Southeast Asia with my husband since. I cannot recommend going travelling enough. Yes, the world is a scary place sometimes, but travel can enrich your life like nothing else, especially if you get the chance to live somewhere, or leave the itinerary and take a backpack instead and just go.
What sort of recycling and refill?
I was working in food waste recycling, Bokashi specifically. So you have composting, you have worm farms, and then there's Bokashi, which is a newer form of food waste recycling. My stepdad Paul can talk to you about that actually. Now I personally won't be going overseas anywhere in a hurry, having just started a family. But there will come a day when the travel adventure awaits. In the meantime, I'll be revisiting those places in my reading and research for my novels. This first book, The Siege of Masada, is based on a family trip to Israel when I was 14. My dad was working there, and we flew over to join him for a holiday. We got time off school and everything. The sightseeing in the first couple of chapters is based directly on our own activities, with our visit to Masada being the most memorable excursion. Though for some reason I was being a moody teenager that day and sulked through the tour, which is a shame. For those of you who don't know, Masada is a small plateau in southeast Israel near the Dead Sea. The ruins of the fortress on it are a major tourist attraction, and it also stands as a symbol of defiance and independence for many Israelis. During what the Romans called the Jewish Rebellion, various groups of Jews were fighting to free their country from the empire. And while the rebellion was systematically crushed, the last stand took place at Masada, and the fighters eventually commit suicide rather than surrender. That may seem like a pretty extreme option, but you have to understand they would have been killed or sold into slavery, so instead they chose death on their terms. A couple of years ago I read about the Jewish rebellion from the perspective of the Romans in an excellent series by Colleen McCulloch, and it really sparked my interest in the area. So I started revisiting my own travel diary and doing some research, and the story grew from there. I thought it would be cool if my main character, Gwyn, went back in time to the siege and accidentally influenced the events taking place. I've taken plenty of liberties with historical facts, timeframes, and locations, but I tried to capture the essence of the event, and of course, any inaccuracies and mistakes are my own. I've tried not to take a political standpoint, though of course I deal with some political issues, such as imperialism, as well as social issues such as gender roles, racism, homophobia and other prejudices. I intend to address these and more in the next book because I know how important it is to talk about the problems in our society, look at how they've developed and how they might be addressed in the future. There is a significant component of the book that takes place in the future, and I've tried to create a fairly positive one because I think it's important for writers not only to critique and satirise our society, but also to imagine a better world, and that's what I've tried to do. Now, it took me a year to actually write this novel, mostly in the evenings and weekends.
Why do you think it's important to satirise the society?
Because it highlights some of the problems we have, and often satire is a good way of doing that without just, instead of just straight out criticism. When you can make fun of something, you often have a stronger impact with people. So it took me a year to actually write this novel, mostly in the evenings and weekends. Sometimes with great success, sometimes I ignored it for weeks and felt guilty. But I got there. Then I began to proofread, which is the most painful and necessary part of any writing. I hassled several friends to read it, and they gave me terrific feedback and encouragement. Then it was back to more proofreading and editing. I joined the North Lakes Writers Group early on in the year, which was terrific for gaining constructive criticism. By then I thought it was almost good enough, so I submitted it to various publishers, but unsurprisingly I never heard back. I kept telling myself that J.K. Rowling got knocked back a dozen times, but I probably would have eventually given up when by chance I was referred to Ocean Reeve of In-House Publishing. Ocean was very excited to hear about my manuscript and my dream of becoming an author, and he gave me a choice. I could continue down the path of seeking out traditional publishers, and most likely getting knocked back again and again, or I could publish independently through In-House, using their editing, formatting, printing, and promotional services. I started out with just seeking out a manuscript appraisal to see if they thought my book was worthwhile, expecting them to take several weeks to get back to me. Ocean called me the very next day to say their appraiser couldn't put the book down. I was super excited, but also super nervous because it was a really big decision to go ahead. But with the support of my husband Dan and my family, I decided this was my chance to go after my dream. And in the end, if all I did was break even, or not even, at least I could have a published book to my name and call myself an author. So I went ahead, and In-House have been terrific all the way, letting me bounce ideas back and forth, creating imagery from my haphazard descriptions, and walking me through the mechanics of making a book come to life. I'm now going to read a brief excerpt from The Siege of Masada. It takes place early on in the novel, so no spoilers. My main character, Gwyn, is retracing my footsteps all those years ago at the ruins as she visits with her family. They are making their way down from the plateau on what's called the Snake Path, and she's a little bit behind the rest of her family as she stops to take photos. Halfway down, just before the path turned sharply away from the cliff and into a narrow ravine that cut through the rock, Gwyn stopped to take a few photos with her phone of the stunning vista before her. The Dead Sea laid out below, stark desert surrounding. Suddenly a clattering of stones and the sound of shouts made Gwyn turn sharply. Dust rose and a figure darted along the path above her. The person pelted down the snake path, knocking Gwyn off balance and sending her staggering to the side. She tripped and fell on her backside, shock and indignation shooting through her system as quickly as the pain in her jarred body. The figure, was it a woman? Glanced behind, long hair tied back, athletic stride. Gwyn glimpsed her face. Yes, she was female. The woman's eyes widened, then she took a flying leap off a low outcrop and hit the ground with a perfect roll and kept running, flinging something into the scrubby bushes that grew on the path edge. A man barreled past Gwyn. He would have run right over her had she still been standing there. The woman made for the narrow ravine when another man, burly and thick-set, stepped out from behind a rock and tackled her. The man in pursuit reached the woman and her assailant seconds later, and then, as Gwyn blinked, a blue mist sprang up, and when it faded, they were gone. What the? Baffled, she scrambled up, wincing slightly, just as her mother came rushing back up the path. "Sweetheart, are you okay? What happened?" she demanded, breathing heavily from her uphill run. "Yeah, I'm fine," Gwyn started to say. This woman, she trailed off, staring hard at the spot where the people had been. Where did she go? She wondered, distracted from her bruised butt and scraped elbow. "What woman? All I could see was dust and you slipping over. Did you hit your head? How many fingers am I holding up?" Her mother grasped Gwyn's shoulders gently and patted her, testing for any injuries, then waved her digits in front of Gwyn's face. "I'm fine, Mum, I'm fine." She rubbed her eyes, the dust making her blink. Sheesh, overprotective. "4 fingers. It was just some woman. She ran past and shoved me. I'm sure it was an accident. I didn't see where she went." She walked down the path slightly to look for her phone. Scrambling around in the bushes, a small, round, metallic object caught her eye as she bent down. It looked like a small pocket watch, complete with a delicate-looking chain. She picked it up and shoved it in her pocket with her phone, replaying the scene with the woman in her mind. "I think I saw her throw this. I'm okay, just a little winded." She wondered why she didn't just blurt out everything she'd just seen, from the pursuing men to the disappearing act. It disturbed her. Someone had just been chased and possibly abducted in front of her. But partly she didn't quite believe what she'd just seen, and if her mother hadn't seen it, well, maybe she'd imagined it. Her impressions were vague. If she were asked to describe the men, she'd be at a loss. The people didn't just disappear, did they? Was it some Israeli military secret? A new technology to cloak people? That seemed impossible, like something out of a Matthew Riley novel. But here was the thing she picked up, the pocket watch or whatever it was, proof that what she'd seen had really just happened. Her mother would make Gwyn hand it in, and she wanted the chance to look at it herself before that happened. So she let her mother brush off the worst of the dust as her dad came huffing and puffing up the hill. He'd seen his wife panic at the commotion, yelled at the twins to stay put, and hurried after his wife. After assuring her parents she was well enough for them to stop fussing, they descended at a stately pace. No more mention of the mysterious woman was made, and Gwyn decided not to bring it up in case they thought she'd concussed herself. But her thoughts kept flicking back to the strange incident up on the hill. So, there will be sequels. I do welcome suggestions, though I have plenty of ideas of my own. I'm also going to be looking at doing some crowdfunding for my next book, so there will be opportunities to get a character or a place named after you if you're interested in being immortalised in that fashion. A final note before we wind up, because I know you're just itching to buy a copy, get it signed and start reading. I always knew it would be a massive challenge publishing a book at the same time as having a baby. The lead editor at In-House likened it to having 2 very different twins. Looking after a baby by itself, not by myself, definitely not by myself. Looking after a baby by itself is sometimes more than I can handle, what with sleep deprivation, loneliness, and lack of predictability. I could not do it without the amazing support from my husband, family, and friends.
Do you feel very lonely with your baby?
Sometimes I've likened it to the days fly by, the minutes just crawl sometimes, and when you're alone at home, might only be for a few hours, and you're trying to settle a screaming baby, it is very hard and you feel very alone. Yes, you can call people, but it doesn't always help the right here and now. So, yeah. Well, I have got some help in the past few weeks particularly. I actually spent all this week just past at sleep school with my son, and that has helped immensely. My mother and sister are fantastic. I can see a few women in the audience nodding when I mentioned the loneliness. It's not just sleep deprivation, though that does make you insane like nothing else. Someone who likes a lot of control over my life, the lack of predictability. I don't always know when he's going to wake up. And when he goes to sleep, it's like, right, got to eat, shower, go to the loo, brush my teeth. Is he going to wake? Is he going to wake? Is he going to wake? So it creates a lot of anxiety and stress. But yes, I have had so much amazing support from my husband, family and friends. And I certainly wouldn't have achieved this here today without all of your ongoing encouragement, enthusiasm and interest. If anyone ever wants to talk to me about my experience or share their own with regards to either writing or motherhood, please feel like you can approach me, because the most important thing I have learned is that I am not alone and that I can get help. I have a long way to go in both departments, but hopefully my writing will improve along with my parenting skills. Thank you again so much, everyone, for coming along today. I can proudly call myself an author now, but it is only thanks to you that this is possible.
How about that, folks? Well done, Jodie. Well, thank you again. So, look, now Jodie's going to be signing some copies as well. So, if you'd like to pick up a copy today, you can. $20, and Jodie will give you a personalised signed copy.
And a bookmark.
And a bookmark. And alternatively, you can place orders for some as well. So, thank you again, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the day. It's got a sense of drama.